Hello everybody and welcome back to another Montessori inspired video. Today I'm going to bring you a video on some questions that I've been getting about how we discipline our children. As you probably already know, the Montessori method of learning and playing is a very unique style of learning and playing. So along with that uniqueness brings a unique style of discipline. Now the thing is, discipline is such a negative word. A lot of the times when you hear the word discipline, it means you're going to timeout, you're getting spankings, something's being taken away from you. All of these negative things are associated with discipline. However, discipline doesn't have to be a negative thing. You can actually turn your children's accidents and mistakes and tantrums around and turn them into a positive thing. And we're doing this through positive discipline. Now, before I get started, I do want to mention that I am not a doctor and I am not telling you how you should parent your children. I am simply telling you how I parent my children using positive discipline and how, if you want to, you can do the same. There's so many benefits to this, such as building cooperation and trust with your children. Using positive discipline can really help strengthen the bond between you and your child and allow them to have more trust in themselves and in you while they are making mistakes. Making mistakes is normal for your child, and having tantrums and meltdowns are normal for your child as well. So through positive discipline, we are building a cooperative relationship with empathy and trust and allowing your child to explore their freedom to learn and grow while making mistakes and not fearing the consequences. First and foremost, with positive discipline, it is incredibly important for you to model the behaviors that you want your child to obtain. For example, if you're just screaming and yelling every time your child is upset, all they're going to do back is scream and yell at the same time. If you're modeling some sort of aggressive behavior, your child is going to pick up on those aggressive behaviors, and those are not desirable behaviors. So as difficult as it may be, it's really important to try to remain calm in these frustrating situations, because that is modeling to your child how you would want them to act. If you lose your temper, what's to say your child won't lose theirs? Now, positive discipline is not about letting your child get away with every little thing. That's not how it works. To some people, the positive discipline appears as if your child is making a mistake or having an accident and they're just getting away without any type of consequences. This is not true. Positive discipline is reshaping the way that we discipline our children by not getting upset and angry with them or threatening them with different types of punishments. If you really think about it, really think about the punishments that your child is being given. Timeouts, spankings, no TV, no friends, to bed early, all of these different things that you are punishing your child with is developing fear. So your child will start acting and behaving a certain way in fear of the punishment. And I don't know about you, but the last thing I want is for my child to fear me. I want my children to be okay with making mistakes. We learn and grow by making mistakes. If my child is fearful about making these mistakes or messing up or anything, then they're never going to learn and grow from those mistakes because they're afraid to make them. Having these fears and negative aspects with your child can actually start to tarnish your relationship. With positive discipline, we're trying to build a relationship on trust and understanding. We want our children to understand their limits without being threatened or punished or fearing what might happen. This can be really difficult. As a parent, we're exhausted with the tantrums and the yelling and the messy playrooms. Your child may have tantrums, they may scream, and they may test the limits. But it's really important to understand that when your child is doing these things, it is normal for their development. All children cry, all children have tantrums, all children test the limits. If they don't have the freedom to do these things, they cannot learn what those limits are and how to behave when those limits are reached. These are the types of developmental processes that will allow your children to learn and grow. Now, I do want to say, coming from a background of special education, there are certain situations and children who will act out uncontrollably and not be able to maintain themselves. If your child has any type of learning issues, cognitive issues, it is very possible that they might be acting out and not able to control themselves. With these children, some type of behavioral support may be necessary, and positive discipline may not possibly work for them because to them they don't understand what is happening. But in a cognitively normal child, all of these things with positive discipline should be very successful. With positive discipline, we want to keep in mind that when you make a mistake, you learn from your mistake. And if you're not allowing your child to make these mistakes, how are they in turn supposed to learn from those mistakes? Most people think it's fine to throw your child in the timeout and force them to think about what they've done and how they're going to correct themselves. But in reality, they're really not understanding why they've been thrown in their room. They might know that they've been thrown in their room because they've done something bad, but if you really think that your child is sitting in their room contemplating what they've done wrong, then it's probably not working. If you can think back to a time that you've been thrown into timeout, I can personally think about all of these times. I was not thinking about what I did wrong or how I'm going to improve myself as a person. I was thinking about how terrible my parents were for throwing me in timeout, trying to find a toy in my room that I could play with until my timeout was done, or even trying to figure out how I was going to get revenge on my parents for throwing me in there in the first place. Timeouts aren't forcing our children to understand what they've done wrong, and it's certainly not teaching them how to fix what they've done wrong. On the flip side, as important as it is to not overly threaten and overly punish your child with fear, it's also important not to overly reward your child. If you overly reward your child will now have an expectation that when they've done a desired behavior, they should receive a reward. This can become a dependency. If you want your child to have a desired behavior, you will in turn have to give them the reward. They will think every time they've done the good behavior, they're going to get a reward. So they'll continue to do the behavior as long as you continue to present the reward. Once the reward is removed, they may stop doing this desired behavior, and they may even backtrack a lot when they realize that they're no longer getting that reward. It's really great when your child wants to continuously provide that desired behavior, but when they digress backwards from that behavior, when the reward is removed, it can be like a punch in the stomach. It's very important to talk to your child about their emotions. Why are they feeling the way that they are? What happened that caused them to have this type of emotion? If you get easily frustrated with your child as soon as they start crying, it could cause their emotions to become even stronger. So the most important thing is to be there for your child. Be there to offer them a hug when they're upset. Wait for them to calm down before you try to talk to them about the situation. But let them know that you're there for them no matter how strong those emotions are or how frustrating it may be to be dealing with those emotions. When your child becomes upset with the mistake, let them calm down, let them know that you are there for them, and explain to them or show them the desired behavior that you would like instead of the behavior that was just given. I have the perfect example that just happened earlier today, right around dinner time. Kaylee, my middle child, who is 21 months old, decided that she wanted a banana that was on the counter. So what she did is she took one of our kitchen chairs, pushed it over to the counter, climbed up, got on the counter, and grabbed the banana. Now she knows that she's not allowed to push the chair over to the counter and climb up on the counter. She knows it's very unsafe. But out of impulse, she really wanted the banana. Instead of going over to her and saying, "Kaylee, how dare you climb up on this counter? You're going straight to timeout," I went over to her and I said, "Kaylee, are you allowed to climb up on this chair?" And she goes, "No, Mommy." And I said, "Are you allowed to push the chair across the kitchen?" "No, Mommy." "Okay, Kaylee, why did you push the chair across the kitchen?" "I want the banana." "All right, Kaylee. Should you ask Mommy for the banana?" "Yes, Mommy." "Okay, Kaylee, here's what I want you to do. Right now, we're not going to get the banana. If you can get off the chair and push the chair back to where you got it, then I'll give you the banana." And she happily complied. She climbed off the chair, she turned it around, pushed it over to the table, and looked at me and waited for me to get her the banana. No tears were shed, nobody was yelling at anybody, no timeouts, no threats. She learned from her mistake, she did what she was asked to do, and then she finally obtained the banana that she was trying to get. This situation could have played out a lot differently had I started yelling at her for getting up on the chair, picked her up, and threw her into a timeout. She would not have had that process to learn that, hey, I'm not supposed to climb up on the chair, I'm not supposed to climb up on the counter, I'm going to fix it, put the chair back, and then I'll ask my mom if I can have the banana instead. So with this method, she was able to understand what she did wrong and how she needed to fix it and what she should not be doing in the future. A lot of times children have issues with different types of transitions. So when it's bedtime and your child doesn't want to go to bed and you have this massive meltdown and it is so frustrating. We used to have the worst meltdowns with Maddie. We thought we were going to need a sleep specialist, a behavior specialist. We were back and forth with a pediatrician. And then finally, through positive discipline, we actually fixed her sleeping issues. And it was just because of, I guess, our parenting style, honestly. Through positive discipline, we let her know, Madeline, it's almost bedtime. We're going to do one more of this. We'll watch one more episode of your TV show. We'll read a book, we'll sing 2 songs, and then we're going to go to bed. So we're prepping her for what needs to happen, and therefore she knows what's coming up. Those transitions are no longer difficult for her, and she knows what is expected of her. If you just pop up and say, well, it's bedtime, let's go to bed, your child might not mentally be ready to shut off what they were doing at that very moment and go lay down and go to sleep. If you can prepare them for what's coming up, they're able to adjust and you avoid all of those tantrums. So there's a couple of different ways that positive discipline can be used. One of those ways is called redirecting or redirection. This is where if your child is getting really upset with something, you take their focus off of what is making them upset and you put their focus on something else. This works really well for us because with Montessori, your children aren't really taught to quote, quote, share. They're more taught to take turns. So with my kids, one child shouldn't go up and just rip a toy out of my other child's hand and expect them to share. That usually does cause some sort of conflict. So with Kaylee, she really wants everything that Madeline is doing, and Madeline doesn't understand that she should be sharing, and it can cause some issues. So when Kaylee goes to Madeline and tries to grab a toy, Madeline becomes upset. Usually I will have to say, Kaylee, Maddie's playing with that toy right now. She can share with you. Or what if we come over here and play with this toy instead? Usually she's like, oh, okay, well, mommy says that I can come play with this toy instead, so I'll come play with this toy. She doesn't have a meltdown. She happily comes over and plays with the other toy. Both kids are happy and a frustrating situation was resolved or avoided or mitigated. I already told you about modeling. It's very important to model the behaviors you want for your children. You are your child's biggest teacher, especially in 5 and under children. They are looking at you for how they are supposed to learn, for what they are supposed to do, for how they are supposed to behave. And if you are not controlling yourself as an adult, you cannot expect your child to behave themselves as a child who is still trying to learn how to behave. Another one is scheduling, like I had just mentioned with Madeline's bedtime and how we fixed all of her issues through positive discipline. And finally, it's very, very important to let your child know that you love them, that you are there for them, that you care for them, no matter what happens. You need to let your child trust you and understand that they can make mistakes without fearing the consequences. Try to always be there for your child and let them know that you are there to help them. Even if it's something like they've just fallen over and they hit their knee and they're just screaming and crying in pain because they lightly hit their knee, then still let them know that you're there for them. Tell them to maybe be a little bit more careful next time. Watch where you're going, but make sure they know that it is okay to fall over. It is okay to drop something. It's okay to break something. It's okay to cry when you're upset. And it's okay to have all of these different emotions. Without allowing your child to experience all of these things and learn from them, it'll be very difficult for them to learn and grow into a successful, functioning adult who can work with society. I think that is about all for positive discipline as of now. As always, if you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. My email address is also in the description box if you would like to contact me personally with any questions at all. Again, I am not here to tell you how to parent your child, but I am here to tell you how I am parenting mine and to give you inspiration should you need it. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.